On to NXT, coming out of Brooklyn. It's a very exciting time coming out of Brooklyn with over 15,000 fans in the sold-out Barclays Center. Obviously, everybody on just a massive emotional high. Exciting announcements of the UK tour coming up that is selling amazingly well. That we will be running a takeover special out of London's Wembley that is already sold out. Some of the shows in the UK tour have sold out. I don't know if anybody got to see the WWE NXT 24 last night on the WWE Network, but I was very proud of that and felt like it was an exceptional show, and I think it got to showcase a lot of the emotional importance to a lot of our talent and to everybody that works with NXT and the Performance Center, just how important it is to everybody and what a big deal it is to them. We're coming off a successful weekend this past weekend of working in Nashville and to a sold-out crowd, and then participating in the Louder Than Life Music Festival in Louisville. These music festivals for us are pretty great. They have, tens of thousands. I think this festival had in the range of 30,000 a day for 2 days that NXT was a part of. And just to put us in a lot of our fans came specifically to see us, but, to be in front of a different crowd of maybe people that aren't as hardcore WWE or NXT fans as usual was a great experience for everybody to learn in front of a different crowd. But that whole thing is very exciting. And it leads us to this Wednesday's NXT. And, the title of this NXT takeover is Respect. The name has a lot of meaning. It's, a lot about Dusty and his contributions to everything at the Performance Center in NXT. Dusty, as I've said before, just can't be replicated and can't be replaced here. And all of these talents are performing in the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic, which will culminate this Wednesday at TakeOver. And that all comes down to their respect for Dusty. And I think they're all looking forward to making this something special in Dusty's memory. And then the respect works on a second level as well, being the women of NXT competing for the first time in a main event strictly by themselves as the main event. And I know we talked about Brooklyn co-main eventing, but they are the main event, and that is Sasha and Bayley for the NXT Women's Championship in a 30-minute Iron Man match. It is about respect. It's about respect they have for each other. It's about respect towards the women's division in our business in general, and showing what women can do. This is a very special night for a lot of people, and I think that Bayley and Sasha, as much as they've already done to revolutionize women's wrestling, as much as they've done to put on a different platform, I think they are going to raise that bar again this Wednesday night. I know if their excitement and their nerves have anything to do with it, it's going to be awesome. And in addition to that, while we're talking about the Performance Center and everything else, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the WWE Network's new series, Breaking Ground, that will be debuting soon. And that is all being shot right now and is in the process of being shot, covering, backstage of NXT TakeOver, of the behind the scenes of the Performance Center, of the Louder Than Life festivals, of Nashville, of all of it. And it's really, if the NXT 24 was something that you were intrigued by, I think when you see Breaking Ground, it's going to take it to a whole nother level. I think that the look inside of what it takes to be an NXT or a WWE superstar is going to be like nothing that's ever been seen before. So I'm very, very excited about that. With that, I've rambled long enough. Love to take some questions.
We'll go next to Jason Namako with WrestleView.com.
Good afternoon, Hunter. How are you?
I'm great, man. How are you doing?
Good, good. Obviously, the one fan everybody wants to talk about is tomorrow night's main event with Bayley and Sasha Banks, the 30-minute Iron Man match for the women's title. And everybody's been talking about their match from Brooklyn. And for those who saw the special last night and showed a lot of highlights in the build-up to that match, telling Bayley's story, telling Sasha's story. In looking back on that match and in hindsight, how important do you feel that match is going to be in terms of the revitalization of women's wrestling in WWE? I remember the line that Corey Graves said at the very end of the match when the four horsewomen were all in the ring holding up the four fingers, and he said, "Women's wrestling is back." How important do you feel like that match is going to be, a couple of years down the road to, Charlotte and Becky and Bayley and Sasha's, drive and passion to bring women's wrestling and get it back to WWE?
I think it's huge, and I think it's going to be massively important. But I also think there are a lot of other moments that are, massive and important and are accomplishing the same thing. To say it's one moment in time that changes everything, it may seem that way when you get 10 years into the future or something, but when you're in the middle of it, this has been a long time coming. All of it has, building from, Natty being a part of it and Charlotte being a part of it and Sasha being a part of it and Sarah Del Rey coming on board, and just the way it was presented, the way fans were willing to accept it, and also the way the world changed. Ronda Rousey in the UFC, the U.S. women's soccer team, just all these things and events happening at the same time that were empowering women. And, we happen to be kind of in that mix of having the right people to be able to execute. And I think it's one of the greatest matches I've ever seen. And I'm not saying for women, but I think the reality of the situation is all these bits and pieces are all cogs in a wheel of women taking, kind of that spot back, and the world, whether that be the WWE Universe or anybody else, realizing that these are phenomenal athletes that are every bit as dedicated and passionate and, invested and willing to do what it takes and make the sacrifices necessary with themselves, their personal lives, their bodies, all of it, that the guys are, and recognizing them as such. I don't, to say that's the moment that made it happen negates all the stuff that happened before that to get them to that spot, and I would hate to do that. Absolutely an important spot, but it's not one moment. It's this giant wheel of momentum. And so many people are a part of that. And it's funny when I hear the bickering, storyline wise about well, I created the Divas Revolution. No, I did. It's great fodder for storylines. The reality of it is they all did. They all started it, and they were all a big piece of it, and will continue to be.
Indeed. And one other quick question. There was a thing from the Louder in the Life festival over the weekend of Bayley kind of doing the timekeeping backstage and kind of helping out in that aspect. Has other NXT talents kind of come up and wanting to try and learn other things behind the scenes and how the overall presentation is done in WWE, or is that kind of a out of the blue thing with Bayley?
No. I think that's a common thing. Listen, there are some people that, and this is not a positive or a negative of anybody. There are some talent that want to do what they do in the ring. They want to be a performer. They want to do it, and that's it. They don't want to think about it. They don't want to get into any other parts of it. They don't want to see anything else. And then there are some that are very immersed in what the product is and are very curious to everything. Well, why would you do that? Why do they do this? And, how does that work? Why are you guys on those headsets? They just want to know everything. I think, when you're at Raw or SmackDown, sometimes those opportunities aren't there. You know, it's crunch time, and it's just very involved and very. There's a lot of pressure and a lot going on, and you can't just have somebody kind of just sitting there, just trying to listen to what's going on. Here you can, you know, and I try to encourage talent. I say to guys all the time, look, if you're smart and you want to learn the other side of the business too, this business doesn't have to end for you when you're done taking bumps. It can continue. I was always fascinated with the inside operation of the business, how it worked, how things were created, all of it. And I think it's why I now love doing what I'm doing. But, you know, some people gravitate towards that. You know, Sami Zayn, when he got injured, was like, hey, when I'm at the shows, can I come and sit by where you guys are and listen to what's going on? Absolutely. I want him to understand that side of it. And if that makes him see what he does in a different way that he never thought of it that way before, that's great. It makes him a better performer. You know, some are very interested in that, some are not. You know, and that's a great thing. It's no different than when we're here at the Performance Center. Some talent want to be told what to do, and they want to train, and they want to bust their ass for their coaches, and then they want to be done with it. And others are fascinated with that coaching process, and actually are then, you know, if they're at an advanced level, they're then trying to coach down to these other talent and help them along the way and kind of be coaches themselves. And that's just kind of a personality thing, you know, but I encourage that. I think it's great. And, you know, I know we put Timekeeper down there, but, yeah, she was just on the headset listening to the show production as it was going on. And it's, to be honest, it's a fascinating way to learn about the things that you never thought of because you just see it from your side.
Indeed. Thank you very much, Hunter, for taking my questions, and good luck to you tomorrow night.
Thank you.
We'll go next to Jim Varsalone with the Miami Herald.
Hey, Jim.
Paul, so what was your thought process to have the women do that curtain call at Barclays Center? Something similar to a curtain call about 20 years ago?
Yeah. I was just trying to, just trying to see who would get fired out of the deal. For me, it's about emotion and telling the story and emotion. And, Vince has taught me for years, since the day I met him, if you put yourself in the seats, if you're just a fan and you put yourself in the seats, you'll never go wrong. And that's how I try to approach it, right? And I put myself in the seats of what would I want to see, and what's real to them, and what would they love to do, and if they got the opportunity to do it and do it with real emotion, what would it be? You know, it's real. You know, in real sports, in other sports, two guys fight or two women fight, and they're bitter rivals, and then they beat the crap out of each other, and then they hug and they shake hands, and it's a part of the story. And they might go back to slinging mud at each other again the next day. But in that moment, it's kind of that real moment, I think, is the overwhelming emotion. And I like capturing that, and I like that real emotion, especially in something that big. You know, it was Sasha's swan song. It was Bayley's kind of ascension. It was just all those things that made it so emotional. And then for all those girls that, you know, in some way bonded together over this process of revolutionizing the business and being here every day and supporting each other in a way that had never been done before, it was really emotional. In some ways, it was very much like, you know, the curtain call back in the day of guys that just had this bond and this friendship, and some were leaving and some were staying, but we'd all done this great thing together and just wanted to have a moment to celebrate that together, and they wanted to too. And it was magic for everybody there. What a dry eye in the house.
And what was Vince's reaction to the whole situation and segment?
Loved it. Absolutely loved it. Thought it was a great touch. Thought it was, you know, look, how can you, 15,000 people are going crazy and going crazy as much for that moment and that emotion as they were for anything else that night. And that's what we sell. You know, the moves and the bumps and the high spots and all that stuff, they're all special effects in the movie that we make. That is, you know, this business, and the emotion and that that's what we sell. And when you buy into that story and that long-term emotion in the characters, and then you deliver that emotion in the biggest way possible, that's awesome. And it's not bad for the bad guy to show that emotion or have that the tear up or the excitement. It's not. It's real. And fans, I think, especially now more than ever, I guess I said it in a working character way years ago, but it's kind of sort of true. I feel like we're kind of in this reality era of people know as much about the reality of our business as they do of the story of our business. And if you can kind of meld the two but keep that reality and that emotion of that reality fresh in there, it makes it magical.
Great moment, and thank you for it.
Thank you.